He's a bit of a legend, this man, you know. He's got his own TV channel, he's got his own sort of channels on social media and so on, so it's great to have him with us here today. David's a globally experienced. Our next speaker, David Banger, is an adjunct professor, author and advisor, and he's an internationally recognised innovator. He's a thinker and a pragmatist. His expertise lies in offering unique and succinct insights that enable organisations and their people to realise their technology and digital potential. Now, David is going to give us a ladder of steps working backwards with you and your organisation's mindset, particularly on how to get your hands dirty. But I'll leave it up to David to explain just what that means. David, thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Content. Whether it's data or whether it's content online, understand where your customers are interacting. Where they're interacting is where they actually have value. You need to understand that. And then how can you qualify that value to enable them to transact on it, which is the next step of digital. So if you just apply this to the Amazon model, Amazon identified that books is probably going to be a bit of a hit. People start to interact with the books, you can actually proofread a book, then they can actually, if they want to, transact on that book. They set up an ecosystem off the back of that, a technical platform to support it. I see a lot of organisations saying we need to have a digital platform, and then we're going to understand the market, then we're going to take a product to the market. Don't start there. Start with the content and where people are going to interact and what people value. Because what you think they may value and what they actually will are different. The way we think about transformations is a little bit like surgery. You avoid it until you really need it. And I actually think you need to think about how do you actually get your organisation to transition and to be in a state of transition. And if you're doing that, how can you create scale within that organisation as well so that you don't become a bottleneck as a leader? In many ways, you need to become a facilitator. Where we act with good intent, but the consequences are pretty significant, and I believe they'll be exacerbated in the digital world. I'll give you a tangible example. You have a crime problem in your community, and the police say that crime problem is a result of substance abuse, of drugs. We are actually now going to arrest those drug dealers and take the drugs off our street. Have we all heard this before? Yes? So they go and they arrest the drug dealers. They report back, here they are, they're paraded. They've shown on TV, we've done this, the local politician, you know, we're closing down on crime. But in actual fact, what's that actually created is that there is still some remaining drug dealers out on the street. And they've just done a wonderful thing because those drug dealers have been able to increase the price of the drugs they're selling, which indirectly increases the amount of crime, which is a clear consequence from an action of good intent. Ask people to analyse their work, to actually not do their work but start thinking about their work. Seek to rationalise the things that are non-value adding, and then think about how can we create more capacity for some initiatives within your organisation. Those initiatives, when they come together and they're actually aimed at making meaning, will actually probably add more value. Transformation is a little bit like training for a marathon. It's a one-off event. And you put all this effort in, you identify the day, you hope you don't get food poisoning the night before, you hope the weather's good, you hope the conditions are good, you hope your shoes are good, and it either goes okay, it goes really well. But I'd actually argue that we need to move from a state of transformation, constantly thinking about doing things to an organisation, but to create an environment of transition within it. There's a very big difference to create an environment of transition within an organisation. The reason that Uber was so successful is that they were able to standardise a taxi catching process and globalise it. They had a standard process right across the globe and it was consistent. And Swinburne, where I do a lot of my pro bono work, have done some research that we now as a community trust strangers more than we trust our leaders. The people that we ride share with, We let complete strangers stay in our house. We feel more fondly about them and we'll give them a higher score than what we would on that mobile app than what we would some of our politicians or people leading our large corporate organisations. There's three types of technology. There's information technology. And if you have an incident or a security breach with information technology, you're going to probably have IP theft. You're going to lose some IP around your company. There's operational technology in a manufacturing plant, the creation of a product, piece of equipment. If you have a security breach in there, you might actually stop the production of something. And the final piece is customer technology. And the customer technology is your most vulnerable bit, because if you have a breach there and your customer data is actually shared externally, it's a reputational piece for your organisation. When we start thinking about technology, particularly in the stages of digital, we actually need to think about where that customer technology is sitting and how secure it is. If there's one thing that you choose to do, go back to your organisation and have the conversation with your teams about the type of work they're doing. We have to shift our mindset and we have to shift some of our reward mechanisms to actually look at the value of the work. And the first piece of the value of the work that you can actually do within your organisation is to actually ask your people to rationalise the things that they're doing, to try and eliminate them. If they can't be eliminated, can they be automated or integrated?